Good morning everybody, and welcome to the latest part of building the DJH 2MT260 kit. And well, I managed to paint the chassis last week, at the end of last week, and I've reassembled it with the cylinders and the pickups. Now, I had a question asked via YouTube about why I use pickups. I use pickups for this particular locomotive for the sole reason that it will be DCC sound fitted when it is completed. And well, to do a split chassis, I found that it is more complicated to fit DCC if everything isn't in one place, if you see what I mean. So what I will do is later on, when we in the build, I will equip this so that it can have a DCC sound decoder. I haven't got it, I haven't bought it yet. I've got to get it specially programmed by YouTube because they do an IVAT 2MT. It needs the whistles changing. I don't want a Stania hooter. So the other things that I've done during the week is, well, I've done some preparations to lubricators. So the lubricators I've drilled out, they've got witness marks on them, and I've drilled them out 0.5mm, and I bought a roll of 0.4mm copper jewellery tape from Amazon. Didn't cost a lot. I think it was about £3 or something like that for this roll, which is more than enough for any needs of doing sort of copper pipe work. But I bought that. I mean, I've got other rolls for, this is standard electrical, it's enamel copper wire, but that's also useful. That's a bit thicker. And I've also got even more thicker. This is great for injectors. So copper wire, up to you. You can use brass wire, but copper wire is so much easier to bend. So what are we going to do today? Well, what we're going to do today is, I painted the wheels while I was at it. They're all in that bag. What we're going to do, I'll reassemble the chassis. I didn't show you me doing the pickups on camera, mainly because I probably would have blown the camera up with the bad language that ensued and chasing flying 12BA nuts around the bedroom. All I can say is, if you've never applied Slater's pickups before, buy yourself a packet of 12BA nuts before you start, because you are bound to lose one or two of them. And I've got in my sort of stash of small nuts and bolts, I've bought a couple of hundred of them because this experience, I've you know, if I hoovered under this table, I'd probably pick up enough to do another 20 locomotives, but that's it. So what we're going to do, I'll reposition the camera and everything, and you can see in glorious close-up. The weather's not very brilliant today. It's a bit overcast here, so I've had to put these lights on for extra light, but I'll get my work light out as well. I will assemble the chassis, and well, including the motor, and we'll see how far we get. I'm not going to take it too far because I want to take this steady and make sure that I've got a good running chassis at every point in the thing. There's no real advantage, well in fact there's no advantage to just throwing it all back together and then finding that it doesn't work properly. So the way that I'm going to do it, this is the first locomotive with outside wall shirts gear that I've done on camera. I'm going to take it a step at a time and check that at each stage everything works as it should do, and then we'll start getting to the really complicated bit. Probably not this video, maybe the next one, of fitting the lubricators, the working lubricators. So I'll reposition the camera and I'll be back in a moment. Okay, so here is the chassis, and I've raided the kitchen downstairs for some kitchen towel, because if you remember when we took it apart, these are the axles, and what I did is like I said, I normally keep a few of these bags knocking around, and I put a couple of drops of this in with the axles to keep them from, well, going manky basically. This is sewing machine oil. It's, you know, whatever your preference is, but I found it quite good for stuff like this. So what we'll do now is we will take these out and we'll start assembling it. Now we want to get rid of the excess oil. We don't need huge amounts of oil. That's another reason for having the kitchen towel. So we'll lubricate it up afterwards. Start from the back, and this particular locomotive, the right hand side leads the left. So I'll find the wheel, the correct wheels. The correct ones are the ones with the shorter crank pins. So the right hand side leads to the left. Come on. Of course, when you want to do it, you're all fingers and thumbs. Just chat amongst yourselves while I get this wheel on. Hooray! So that's on, and you can let's try and point this a bit better. Right, so if you look, the wheel is touching the pickups. There's good play in the pickups. I used the wire that was included in the kit. Now, yeah, you can use other wire, but it is always better to go for more flexible wire than solid wire. Solid wire has better current carrying capacity, but flexible wire is less prone to braking. So I buy rolls of silicone coated wire, which is great for doing things like this, and well, it's my preference. So this is my this is an old thing from my old job. Sort of retained it out of the computer engineer's toolkit, and it's got to cut down the end for doing up. It's cut down. So there's the real wheels. They go round nicely. What I was worried about, because I used Slater's pickups, they have packing washers, and I used the packing washers when I did this, and I was a bit apprehensive about the fact whether they would fit or not, but they do, so nothing to worry about. We'll do the front wheel next, and then we'll think about the motor. Oh. Now you could do this without putting the cylinders on. But I put the cylinders on because I needed to adjust the cutout in the cylinders anyway, so that the body could be fitted after the fact. And you might think that, oh, why paint the cylinders and then do that afterwards? But it was actually easier to do it with the cylinders painted, because I could use a knife to mark the line, and it came out against the black. Because it was painted black, the mark came out. Okay, where the cylinders have been adjusted, they're a little bit mutilated and the paint's come off, but the body is going to sit over those, so it won't matter too much. So, and if you remember, all that time ago, the front and middle drivers have got packing washers. So we can get the quartering correct. I should be able to get these on because they've not got huge crank pins. Yeah, that was clever. Oh, just when you wanted everything to go perfectly. Well, you don't want to see me doing all this. You see me do the back ones. I'll put the wheels on and then I'll show you when I've got the front drivers on, and then we'll move on to fitting the motor and the middle drivers. Okay, so I'm back without too much swearing, and I haven't upset Boris too much. And I've got the front drivers in. So there you are, the front drivers, and you can see that there is good contact with the pickups. So now we'll go to the seemingly hardest bit of this bit, and that is fitting the motor. So like I mentioned, this motor, this kit was designed for an RG7, and although I've got an RG7 that I've removed from another kit, I've got this is from Premier. It's a 30:1 Canon, but it's got a worm gearbox, but hey. So what we got to do is we need the axle. Yeah, I don't think that worm's correct for that. Surely not. So you'll have to bear with me a moment. This worm isn't correct for the motor. I've got to look for the correct worm, so just bear with me a second. Okay, that took a little bit longer than I had anticipated, but I now have the correct 40:1 gear, whereas originally it was a 30:1, which doesn't fit the motor. So we can continue putting this together. So I'll tack this bit onto the bit from earlier. So what we need to do now, we've got our centre axle. So just extract it from the plastic bag with the spacing washers. And we've got the wheels with the longer crank pins, so we'll do one end first. I'll just do the fixings up finger tight to start off with, and we'll no, I'll get the tool out. That's probably quicker. Right, just bear with me. Yes. What all the fuss was about. I should have done this to start off with. Oh well, never mind. It's a new year. That's how long it's been. So we don't want to trap the wires that we've already installed. Yeah, where's your fifth hand when you need one? Look, I'll install the motor. You don't want to see me struggling to install the motor. I'll install the motor and then I'll come back when I've done that. So I've got the motor in with not too much swearing and etc. Boris is still here. He's just here, just out of view. And well, there is the 6-couple chassis, and what we'll do now is we'll start to add various bits of the motion. So the next thing to do, thinking logically, is to do the coupling rods. So the coupling rods are here. Just one thing when you do this, make sure you have the quartering correct. So make sure that the crank pins are all in the same orientation. So all the ones that they're all, when you line them up on one side, they're all the same on the other side. So what we'll do is we'll get the bits out and we will fit the if I can find them. I should have prepared a little bit better. And then we will move on to the motion bracket, which is probably going to be the hardest bit to do. So they're all in a bag somewhere. Okay, so I've fitted the coupling rods and I've left the worm loose on the middle axle, and well, it doesn't appear to be too bad, to be honest. It's a little bit front heavy, but there's the pony truck to fit later. So I've reduced the width of this and this and this on both sides. The Slater's bearing, the front ones are reversed using a 10BA bolt, if you remember, to give clearance for the slide bars. Now what we're going to do now is we're going to put this aside for the moment, and we're going to move on to probably what is going to be the hardest bit, and that is getting the lubricator drive to work. Now, if you remember, I did the this is the motion bracket, and it unscrews. And if you remember, I made up, I may not have shown you these yet, but I made up, this is the lubricator casting from the MOK 4MT. Now if you see these things here, these are the lubricator drives, and what I've done is I have basically tapped and fitted a 14BA nut, 14BA bolt, sorry, into the end. Now what we're going to do now is we are going to try and fit these. If I and they've just fallen on the floor. So I've retrieved all the bits from the floor, and what we're going to do is we're going to fit the lubricator drives, because, well, I think that it's well worth having a go at doing this. Whether it works or not is another matter, but we'll have a go at doing it anyway. So what we need to do is we need to slit these off. The casting. So I don't know if you can see it, but it's sort of like a U-shaped. There's the autofocus. It's like a U-shaped casting. So there's one, and I'll do the other one. There's the other one. Need to remove the end of the bolt, so we'll just... I could have used... oh, I bent it, bugger. That should still work. What I should have done is use cutters. It's quite wise being wise after the fact. Would also help if I use the good cutters. So there you have it. So there's two of them. Now, these are the return part of the motion. So we need to get these the right way around. And now we're going to have the really, really tough job. First, you need to check that they actually fit nicely. And then I need to get my... so this is my box of nuts and bolts and things. So we need to find some 14BA nuts. Okay, I've got some 14BA nuts. I found them. And I've also found some 14BA washers, which are just as stupidly fiddly. This is the start of the fixing. Now what I'm going to try and do, is I'm going to try and get a 14BA nut in that slot. And on a scale of fiddly, this is about a 25. So, ooh. Ah, bum, it fell out. Okay, so that's what I'm going to try and do. I haven't got enough storage on my camera for me to film this while I'm doing it. So what I'll do is I'll have another go, and if it doesn't work, I'll do it off camera and show you when it's done. Ooh, maybe it's going to work this time. Oh well, look at that, it's worked. You can probably, well, you can't see it because it's pretty tiny. The threads come out the other end. Oh, I'll do it off camera and show you when they're both done, but you get the idea. The whole point is to actually make it so that when this moves, the U-shaped lubricator drive also moves. But I'll do both of them and then show you when it's done. Right, so I've fitted them, and again on a fiddly scale it's about a 25. Now the hardest bit that I've still got to do is I've got to solder the nut in the middle of the return crank to, well, whatever it's called. I normally get all the bits of Walschaerts gear all wrong, but I'm going to have to use, I use my soldering iron, of course, but I'm going to have to use a magnifier to do this because it is, I can't, if I get the solder in the wrong place, the thing won't move. So I'm going to have to be extraordinarily careful while I do this. The only comment that I can really make about this is make sure you have plenty of 14BA nuts and washers before you start. I've lost probably half a dozen of each on the floor. I can see some of them, but I'll have to pick them up a bit later. Boris has moved in disgust over to the other side of the bed. So again, what I'll do now is I have to get the magnifying thing out and then solder these two nuts extremely carefully. And well, I'm definitely not going to do that on camera because I'll probably melt the microphone, and I haven't got enough. Again, I haven't got enough footage. So what we'll do is I'll do that, and I'll come back to when it's done. But it is extremely tiny. It's basically very, very hard what I'm going to do, because I need to make sure that the nut inside is soldered to the bracket. So yeah, it's going to be hard, and well, I'll either be quick or I will be a long time, but I'm going to turn the camera off and do it off camera, because it is it's a very, very tricky thing to do, and I'll show you. Now, of course, the kit doesn't have this. I asked Dave Sharp from MOK for the casting sprue. Now, if you want to do this, please bear in mind that it does come with quite a bit of baggage. I'm going to do it because I certainly think that out of this kit, the emission of the outside lubricators is probably one of the biggest emissions out of it. So I'm going to go and do this off camera, and I'll come back and show you once it's done, hopefully successfully. Well, it's done, and thanks Ian for buying me this all those years ago. It's actually the first time I've had to use it, because normally if you know me, I wear varifocals. Using this with varifocals was quite fun, actually. So, right. If you can see, where's the autofocus? There it is. If you can see, the U-shaped bracket now moves when I move the bottom bit, and the same on this side. So that's the lubricator drive. I'll use a bit of lubrication on it now. This is sewing machine oil. And we'll give that a little bit of time to bed in, but that's basically the hardest bit. That was the hardest bit of the kit, really, in my opinion. But hey, it's an additional thing. So what we've got, the motion bracket goes on here, if you remember. Goes like that. And well, what we'll do the next time is we'll do the rest of the motion. I'm not going to do it now because I'm rapidly losing the will to do anything. Sorry that this has taken so long, but this happened because the gear for the motor was incorrect, which has now been remedied, of course. So what we'll do is we'll do the rest of the motion the next time. Thank you for watching, and hopefully there'll be more videos soon.